What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Remote Front Office. Today we are going to be recapping Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Before we get into that, if you guys like, comment, subscribe. We do upload Mondays and Fridays around here. So let's go ahead and get into it. Yesterday was Game 1 of the NBA Finals after about a week off. It was an 18-point game. I don't know, so I can understand where people would say it's a close game, because at one point it did turn back into an 8-point game. Dallas trimmed the lead down, and then Boston ended up expanding that lead and ended up with an 18-point game. The one thing I will say is at one point it was like 26, 27. It was about 29 going into half. The third quarter felt probably the closest it was going to get. And maybe if that was the result of the full game, maybe it would have been a little closer again. But a couple of things. So Porzingis came off the bench. Thought that was interesting. It turned out to be a really good idea. It allowed kind of the flow of the game to be established, and then Porzingis to come in and adjust the flow of how the game was played. He shot really well, played really well. There were a lot of mid-range jumpers that open or contested or anything. He just was hitting them. It was all net, wasn't backboard, wasn't getting the shooter's roll. It was a good shot. I don't know if he can go up too much in minutes, honestly. I still think he played 21 minutes. I don't know if I would really have him go above like 25. That's kind of where I would cap it off at, or at least for right now, right? I think as you get further into this series, you can maybe ramp him up closer to 30. But again, I don't really know if he goes above 30 to 35 minutes in this series. Um, as far as the Dallas side of it goes, right? So Luka had an okay game. The assist numbers for Luka weren't really where I thought they would be, honestly. Obviously, I expected a lot more of doubles and stuff like that, but there weren't even like assist opportunities, right? I was listening to I think it was Bill Simmons yesterday or last night, and there was brought up that Luka had like 6 assist opportunities, I guess if you want to phrase it that way, or there was a chance for an assist and like the guy missed it or something like that. But for Luka to only end up with 1 assist is just a wild stat, right? I think most of us pencil him in for like 38, 9, right? I think that's typically about where we have him at. So the fact that he only ended up with 1 assist, he did get the double double with 10 rebounds. But just that in general, I think was kind of really a shock. They really let him play one on one. My first instinct, of course, was you double, you show him different looks. But there was a lot of one-on-one matchups. They said, Luka, you're gonna have to beat us. You have to show us time in and time out. I like Jaylen Brown's intensity throughout this whole game. The picking up at three-quarter court, the just kind of making Luka take a little bit longer to get set up into the offense. Even Drew Holiday switched on to at one point once he kind of got into a groove. And I understand there's a height difference, but just the physicality and the mentality Drew Holiday plays with was really solid. Um, Kyrie didn't shoot great. Thought he got some good looks. I don't know if it was a comfortability thing or what it was for having a week off, but it just seemed like Kyrie was a little rusty, missing shots he normally wouldn't miss, right? I did like Boston's scheme against him, though. Showed a little extra help, met him at the rim. The Jaylen Brown block was a really nice one. You don't see that very often on Kyrie. Normally, he's able to change out of stuff to avoid a block. That was really nice. And then Boston's offense. Dallas came out really hot to start the game, but Dallas just kept shooting Boston kept shooting threes to keep them in it. And then once the three started going, there was one at one point Hauser was like fading out of bounds almost, and that one kind of really put the whole momentum drive into gear. There were a handful of guys that made multiple threes. That was really not necessarily surprising, but it was just interesting that it seemed like Dallas was more concerned with packing the paint, gave a bunch of threes, which then led to them giving up drives as well because they were hesitant. Porzingis was shooting really well, obviously, like I said earlier. And I just think that obviously Boston had a good shooting night, right? And when Boston has a good shooting night with the math that they kind of drive home, you're going to get those kind of games, right? So I guess what for game 2, right? So game 1 happens, sure, is what it is. Game 2. If you are Dallas, what do you do differently? I think you switch a little bit less on Porzingis. I noticed they were kind of switching. Luka guarded him a couple of times, um, and just the general kind of feeling. Derek Lively was on the perimeter kind of a lot for my liking. Um, you have to force Tatum into dribbling more than what he was, right? When you get those stagnant offensive possessions like they did a little bit in the third quarter, where it's Tatum or Brown and they're kind of slowly dribbling the ball out. And there's like 10 seconds on the clock. And they shoot that sidestep three I've talked about all playoffs, right? That's the offense you want them to generate, right? That's the offense you want Tatum to shoot. You want him to settle for that jumper and not the swing pass to the swing pass to the swing pass to Derek White, or the extra swing pass to KP, or the swing pass to Drew, et cetera, right? You want the one-on-one possessions, the slow, grinded out possessions from Boston. You don't want them getting into that rhythm and just shooting you out of the gym, right? Also, Boston's not going to necessarily shoot this well again, right? Well, at least not for, they'll have a game where they shoot, say, 10 for 40 or whatever it is on threes, and Dallas shoots, say, 15 for 30 or whatever it is, right? And once you get that kind of momentum shift, I think Dallas will win games. Obviously, I saw the memes of it's going to be a sweep. It's not going to be a sweep. Dallas will have a game where Luka scores 35 and Kyrie scores 36, and PJ Washington hits threes. PJ Washington didn't hit a three yesterday. I don't think that happens, right? 0 for 3. I understand he's kind of coming back down to his averages. But I think that he's going to hit threes. Like, I don't expect Dallas to go out like this, right? It's not going to be a sweep. It's not going to be 18-point games. It might be because, we had the variances of where one team wins by 18 and the other team wins by 20. The next game, the other team wins by 15. And then you keep going back and forth until you get to a game 7 and then somebody wins by 3, right? We've had those series before in the finals. I just think that, personally, I expect Dallas to shoot better. Boston will have a bad shooting game. Boston's still going to have the turnovers. Jalen and Tatum both still have the turnover situation. So I think that still ends up happening, right? My prediction for game 2 is I think Dallas wins game 2. I think it's by probably, I'm going to go with like 8, right? I think that's about where we're at. I don't think it ends up being a super close game, but I don't think it ends up being a blowout. Kyrie's going to come back. Kyrie's been in this situation before. He's been in the finals. Luka now has his first finals game under his belt. Same with the rest of Dallas. I thought for those first couple of minutes, they came out kind of, not themselves. They were nervous. The lights got to them, quote unquote. But I think once they're adjusted, Luka has a chance to kind of get into this routine now, where they're off a couple of days. Jason Kidd will have time to kind of mix some stuff up. Really curious what they do defensively. Makes me kind of nervous. I don't really know, other than, again, you kind of settle for the Tatum, Jalen Brown, dribble, shoot a sideways shot. Really about all you got right now, right? If Derek White's going to shoot good, Porzingis is going to play well, Horford's going to play well, that sort of thing. But I think you kind of settle into those, and then just offensively, you've got to get Luka going. He seemed hesitant a couple of times with Porzingis down there to shoot the shot he was shooting the last couple of series. But again, I think Dallas is going to bounce back. I think they win next game. We're in a 1-1 game, 1-1 series going to Dallas, and we go from there. But if you guys have any thoughts, reactions, etc., to game 1 and any predictions for game 2, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.